Hello, guys. Episode 60 today. As always, Sunny Bonani Dumalang Aunt afternoon. Bon dia. Trust the day is treating you kindly, gently, and with much focus, clarity, and intent. So, yes, today's episode, I guess I haven't got anything planned or nothing's a sealed deal, so to speak. But I guess I am being called to maybe speak about being a mum, being a mom, being a mother, umamaing, those aspects and elements. If you're not interested, just keep going. But yes, so today our youngest guy is turning 12, and I saw a video, as of course life would have it, of a lady sharing like a natural birthing video on social media. It was actually quite a horrific video. One of those natural birthing videos where the woman is in labor and she is just in absolute agony, and it just is seeming so hard and just so impossible. And it was interesting because the lady who did share it and posted it opted for a C-section just because of that, because of the images or the belief system that she has around delivering a baby naturally. And yeah, I guess it was just so interesting because it's on the same day that I gave birth to our young man 12 years ago today. It wasn't my first birth, it was actually the second one. And it was a far more different experience. Second birth is obviously different. Every birth, I'm sure, is different. I've only had 2 kids, but I can imagine that even if you've had 8, I'm quite sure that there'll be some point of difference within each delivery and within even carrying your child. So yes, it's actually quite an interesting topic to maybe chat about as I reference this. So with our first child, my first boy, I have 2 boys, and the first kid was very different. Obviously, first time mom, had been exposed and brought up with a sister who's 14 years older than I am. I was blessed and fortunate enough to have nieces who I was changing nappies with and watching my sister go into labor and all those fun things. So this aspect and this element of being around babies and children were not new to me. But when you experience it yourself personally, you look at things through very different eyes, right? And you're looking at things in, out, as opposed to out, in, as I like to sometimes refer to. So yes, my 2 pregnancies were very different. My firstborn I felt so like chill and calm and zen and just, yeah, so at peace. I stopped eating meat. In fact, the smell of meat was just so off-putting to the extent that I wanted to throw up and vomit every time I smelt it. And yeah, it was just a very tranquil, serene, and peaceful pregnancy. The delivery was very interesting as well. Yeah, everything ran really, really well and smoothly. And I've created an episode all on the childbirth itself. But for those of you who haven't seen it or who haven't heard that story, I was told 30 weeks, 29 weeks into my pregnancy by my gynecologist, who believed I wouldn't be able to birth my first kid naturally. In fact, he deemed it was impossible. My hips were too small. There were a myriad of reasons why that this would not be possible. And thankfully, I found very supportive people and midwives and ladies who wanted to partner in journey with me on a natural birthing route and journey. And hey, tra-la-la, everything went off really well. And I'm just so grateful for that experience because I connected with a sense of power, not only within my own being and within my own self, but I really and truly felt like I was connecting to this energy or the energetics of femininity and womanhood and the gift and power of having the universe between your portal, or a portal between, your yoni, and being able to bring life out into this world. It was a very beautiful and powerful and empowering experience. And I guess today when I saw that video, I was reminded of the preconceived beliefs and notions that I had about birthing a child prior to my own personal experience and prior to meeting these supportive and amazing women that made me see the light of natural birth in a very positive, empowering, and magical way. And I guess my second birth or my second pregnancy was so different with our birthday boy today. And it was so interesting because we knew we were trying for a second one, and I thought, no, we might struggle a bit with the second one because that's what everybody says. No, 1 month into the process of trying, there we were. We didn't need to try no more because voila, And my pregnancy with our second born was just like the complete opposite of my first. I have never, and guys, when I tell you this, I have never in my life been so tired to the point where I literally had to lie down wherever I was and just literally fall asleep on the floor. It was the strangest thing I'd ever experienced in my life. And there wasn't anything wrong with me. There was just an enormous amount of energy that this little guy was requiring. And it was almost like, it was like sucking it all up. And I don't want to say that in a negative way because it's just the most magical and wondrous thing. And when you meet this little guy whose birthday it is today and our second kid, you'll understand why that is, because he's filled with so much energy. He's just like this little energizing power battery who is flicking and flacking and backbending and handstanding and just doesn't stop. So yeah, it's so beautiful to see how the pregnancy informs you of the personality and the innate energetics of the being and the soul that you're fostering and carrying and growing inside of you. What else, I guess, was interesting with my second born? A second born, guys, I want to meet. I was like, give me that nyama. Give me that shisha, because I need some protein. That's what me needs. I need some protein, okay? And it was so interesting as well. Another aspect and element that stood out for me was the week prior to me realizing that I was pregnant, or I'm not even sure, I think I might have known that I was pregnant with my second born. I went for a run. I used to love running, not long distances, but 5 to 10 Ks, almost every day. And I had a stroller, a runner, jogger, whatever you call that. And thankfully I stayed in an area that facilitated me being able to run with my firstborn. He loved it. My firstborn loved the pram, loved being up, and he loved the runs. I mean, loved it. He was up there watching, checking, taking it all in, feeling the wind on his face. Loved it. And when I was pregnant with my second one, probably a month and a half into the process, I went for the longest, most powerful, fastest run I have ever gone on with a stroller. Okay. So I was running faster, longer, harder with a stroller than I had ever done in the history of me even not being pregnant or being a mother. Okay. And that for me was another weird telltale sign. I was like, whoa, why do I feel so a surge of energy, So that was really interesting as well. And then, yes, had our second little guy, natural birth as well. And it was different from our firstborn, but yes, I guess you feel more at ease and more at peace because you know that you're able to do it. And I guess something that was interesting with our second born was that he kept turning in the womb. I never forget the very last day that I saw my midwife. She had been saying, oh, he's engaged, he's not engaged, he's engaged, he's not engaged, because he kept on like literally like turning, and she kept on feeling like, where are you? And I remember she gave me these exercises to do where I had to like rotate my hips and my pelvis to help him like move into the birth canal, because he was like everywhere and anywhere. And I remembered on the very, very last day of, or the last time I went for my checkup before I gave birth, I was already 39 or 40 weeks in. I was expecting to give birth any second. And I remember on that particular day that I went to see her, she was like, girl, this guy is fully engaged for the first time in I don't know how long. And I don't know if he's going to stay like this, because based on past experiences, he likes to like move around, and it looks like he's really ready to go. And it was so interesting because she suggested something which I'd never even heard of. She's like, well, do you want me to like stimulate the perineum down there? And then when I do that, she's been bringing babies into this world. She's the most amazing midwife. She's been bringing babies into this world now probably for like 35 years of her life. At the time, it was probably 20 something, if I recall. And she had a lot of experience and a lot of successful experiences. And I never forget her saying, look, based on like how frequently and how much he moves, I would suggest that you maybe have your little perineum down there stimulated. And then what that did was it kind of like brought on the onset of the surges or me going into labor. I didn't even know that was something you could do until I had done. So yes, it's kind of like the same aspects and elements of engaging in sexual intercourse when you're pregnant, right at the end of your term, to help the baby be delivered, right, to go into labor. So same premise, except I had my midwife help me instead of my husband. Yeah, it was because he was fully engaged and she was really like, let's go now, because this guy is just like, he likes to motion. And I guess, like, why am I telling you this? For me, these are all the aspects and elements, and I mean, this is just the beginning of their life, that make being a mum so magical and make being a woman so phenomenal. And how we are gifted at caring and nurturing, and not only watching our children grow as mothers, but watching ourselves grow as moms. And I really do believe that is just such an honor and such a privilege and such a grand, generous responsibility. Doesn't mean that we don't have those hard days, and it doesn't mean that we don't fall and stumble and have shit on our face sometimes, because we're also learning, and we must remember that we too are also still children. So we're also still figuring things out, and we are also just doing our best. So I guess this little episode today is a bit of a episode or a tribute to moms out there. Moms who do their best. Whatever their best looks like. And remember, your best will most likely and most probably be not the best that someone else deems to be suitable for their own selves, and therefore there may be some form of projection or rejection or deflection. because of that difference and because of that element and aspect of differentiation and how we see things differently, therefore we do things differently, and therefore we are just different humans at the end of the day, right? So yes, magical being, let's perhaps take a moment in this here now just to pause and to take a nice deep breath as I center my own beingness in this very here now moment. And I would just like to acknowledge myself for being courageous and brave enough to follow my own intuition, my own knowingness, my own insights, and the messages that I feel and deem can only be heard, fully understood, and executed by oneself, regardless of what noise is going on out there. We have this innate knowingness within our own essence and our own beingness as humans. Most of the time, we're just so afraid to connect to that part of us because in a society that's quite unforgiving and in a society that aims for perfection, deems mistakes as failures, and is discouraged from connecting to their true soul essence, can be quite a challenging road being a mom. Being a mom. So I trust that this episode has fostered some form of appeasement, acknowledgement, and just remember to take those moments to pause and to take those deep breaths and to allow for the centeredness that's required so that you can connect to the essence of your being. Remove the distraction and the noise. Doesn't matter who and what comes in to the path. As long as you're aligned and you're doing your best and you're aiming to connect with your most highest version of what you deem to be yourself, I think you can't go wrong until you go wrong. And then it's okay, because even going wrong is going right. And I guess this is just a reminder for myself to maybe have more fun, lighten and brighten up a little bit, and a timestamp of when you're in the moment, time seems to move so slowly, especially when you're a mum, especially when you're in those first 2 years, because they can be real challenging. Just the sleep deprivation on its own is like, what the And I guess that's one message before I sign off that I'd really like to leave myself with and leave whomever comes across this message and this episode and this video, that in those moments where you feel like things are moving so slowly and you're so exhausted and you just want things to change, whatever, you want your little one to start walking, your little one to start eating solids. That's what, guys, doesn't matter, okay? You know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. Because I've been there. And you'll come to realize that as your children start to grow and as they start to come into their own and how they start to pull away and distance themselves from you, as of course they should. And that's when you know that you're doing a really good job as a mom. That's when all those moments of you wanting to speed things up or change and alter things starts to come back into the forefront of your awareness. And you would give anything for that little toddler who's throwing his food out of his chair, just having a tantrum because he didn't want the spaghetti with the meat. He wanted the spaghetti just plain, And yeah, be reminded of reflecting on those moments with such joy and love in your heart. And be a little gentle on yourself as well. And of course, it's an opportunity for you to become present in this here now moment. I really believe that moms are so lucky, gifted with this aspect of children fostering and coming to facilitate this aspect and element of presence, being present here, now, grounding. That's what they're here to remind us of, That's what I believe. They are our greatest teachers. Our children are our greatest teachers. When we think that we are here to teach them, it's a collaborative effort, is what I like to say. We teach and guide as much as they teach and foster the aspect and element of reintroducing the element of being a child and rekindling our essence on that level. There's a beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran. I can't remember it exactly, but it's along the essence and theme of how our children don't belong to us, but they come through us and to us. And ultimately, they are sent from the divine almighty creator. And the fact that we think we have ownership and claim over them is just all an illusion. And it's so interesting how sometimes I see, and I do it myself, please, this isn't a pointing finger exercise here because I do it myself, is when we say, oh, my kids, my this, my, like, you just like lifted up your leg and just like, just defecated on it just to claim and mark your turf and territory like an animal. So yes, I do enjoy, and I really go back to that poem very frequently because it's quite humbling to think that they are yours up until the day that they find themselves to be their own people with their own ideas, their own behaviors, and their own belief systems and structures and the way they do things, And that's usually when the tension starts to arise, isn't it? Or perhaps not. Perhaps there's an opportunity for there to also be a celebration in that moment because of that point of difference and honoring each other's unique, individuated essence and soul self. Magical Human, it's 24:04 on the timer, and my heart is telling me that I've shared all I need to share for the purposes of today. I'm not quite sure what I'm calling or titling this yet. Maybe being a mum would be a good one, since it is our second one's birthday today. So yes, being a mum. I think that's a nice one. I'll see you tomorrow for episode 61. As always, continue to sow those seeds. Allow for the flow and magic of life to find you and guide you so that you may continue to grow, illuminate, and glow. Stay magical. Till tomorrow.